Oh man. Alrighty. I think that's enough for today. We're ready to kick things off. Just let me go ahead and get my stuff ready. How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? Hope y'all all are great and blessed. Let's throw this up there. Give me 1 second. Can y'all hear me? Before I go ahead and get started, I got yelled at in one of my, not literally yelled at, but in the comments in itself, somebody was like, "I couldn't hear you." I was like, "I don't know. I mean, I checked. It sounds good on my end, but what do I know?" Hopefully, they got what they needed out of the content. Maybe they hung around a little bit longer, but if they didn't, then they SOL. But today is going to really be all about you, especially if you're watching this, trying to buy a home in the market, not knowing what to do. Because you're not alone. I'll say that first and foremost. In fact, I don't even know why I have this on right now. Give me 1 second. There we go. Much better. That light was bothering me. You're not alone. And when I say you're not alone, I truly indeed mean it. A lot of people right now are trying to figure out, what does it look like for them to go ahead and purchase a home? And what must they do? It's a lot. Like, just in terms of even buyers or just people trying to get creative in this sort of market, because again, there's a lot that buyers currently have to deal with, right? We're talking about high prices, talking about, well, price is relatively high if you think it's high, but mortgage rates not being really favorable for the person that's trying to buy, because that is just immediately going to impact your mortgage, but it's also going to impact the type of home, the size of the home that you can even buy. So today's going to really be all about y'all, as it always really is, honestly. I don't know why I even said that today. Every stream is practically for all the buyers out there trying to go ahead and purchase a home. So if you're in the comments, let me know where you guys are from. Let me know if you're on the replay. Let me know or if you're watching live, let me know in the comments where you guys are tapping in from. If you're watching on the replay, let me know where you're watching in from, so that way I can provide you guys with a little bit more detailed content and information on these weekly, well, not weekly anymore, but on these streams that I do for you all. But the first thing I want to go ahead and share with you is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, because this here is important. As you guys can see, right, nearly 3 in 5 buyers looking for homes outside of their city, right? This could mean many different things. What I took from it, just to kind of sum up everything, everyone is looking outside of the metro areas, right? So the areas that everybody wants to be in, I mean, whatever big area that you're in, whatever state, there's always one place that attracts everyone, right? Here in North Carolina right now, at least in the RDU area, it's Raleigh and Durham. More or less, I would say Raleigh for the most part is attracting everyone. So everybody wants to be in Raleigh, but now you have to look at, okay, well, can you purchase a home in Raleigh, right? And if you can't, then you're going to have to look at the suburbs. You're going to have to look at the areas that's maybe 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes out from the area in itself. All right, not terrible of a commute, but you still have to commute. So if you don't want to commute at all, then you, at this point in time, it's, hey, do you go rent a home or do you go rent an apartment, right? But if you're looking for a home in itself, this right here, I see it vividly happening in this market even to this day. I mean, I'm talking, I'm working with many different people, and we're essentially having to go outside because of where the price point is, and of course where the Raleigh prices are. So that's that. I do want to let you guys know that you look outside of your area. Don't get too stuck on having to be within that city. I think it's great if you can, right? I think it's great if you can't afford it, or even if you can, just because there's accessibility to everything, right? I think it's phenomenal on both sides, but again, we're talking about livelihood now, right? Because again, at the end of the day, all that is that we're talking about of being accessible to a lot of things, it's lifestyle. And if you could do a nice 15, 20-minute commute, your lifestyle will, yes, it will change because you don't have access to those things that are in that metro area or that downtown area, but more or less, you'll have something that you can go ahead and create in wherever it is that you go ahead and reside at. So that's kind of what I'm sharing with a lot of the people that I'm working with today, because that's essentially what's going to help them, right? If especially if they want to buy a home and they have to be near or at least in the Raleigh area, then that's what we're doing. And on top of that, not to include this as well, that's where a lot of new construction is happening. Right off the bat, a lot of new construction, at least in this area here, is happening outside of the Raleigh area, which I wouldn't be surprised if that's a lot of the metro areas, right? A lot of the big cities, they've pretty much, what land do they really have left to really build a home that people are going to actually want to purchase? So a lot of the building is going to probably happen, excuse me, outside of those areas. So you're kind of forced, in a way, right? It's unfortunate to say you're kind of forced in a way to look at new areas that probably wasn't even on your radar to begin with. Someone brought it up to you, and that's now why you're looking at that area. But I personally, what I'm seeing, you're getting more bang for your buck. So don't really look at it as like and this is what I'm kind of seeing, right? When people are like, oh, I want to be in Raleigh. And then you mentioned like Garner, Clayton, Zebulon, Wendell, right? They're like, they start giving you funny faces. Like, what in the world are you talking about? I've never heard of these places. Yes, you probably never heard of it because again, it's not areas that are being talked about. But not to say that they can't provide what Raleigh has. Raleigh, yes, it's your big areas. What's gonna be, everything is there. But you'll find little small things that you can do as well in these small little suburbs. Guys, it's important that y'all just get in the game. If there's something that I could share with y'all early, get in the game as soon and as early as possible, because the longer and longer you wait, I honestly think that this real estate market is going to be against a lot of buyers now, especially those children being born today, honestly, or even the young adults, millennials, Gen Z. Like they're the longer and longer they wait, or they don't really take their stuff seriously, it's going to come to a time where they're probably going to be renting for quite some time. I mean, just look at what's happening. I'll just say a few things here. If we look at prices, right? Okay, prices, yeah, sure, they can come down. We'll see what actually happens, because now you have to deal with corporate investors, right? Let me go ISO real quick, because now you have to go corporate investors. You have to deal with that. They have money out the wazoo, right? So we know that they're going to prop up this entire market consistently. Then we have mortgage rates, which I think intentionally they're keeping it high just to kind of slow everything down. But if mortgage rates do come down, now you've unleashed a ton of buyers who are going to go ahead and jump into the market, literally, just like 2020. Literally, a ton of buyers who are going to jump in the market. And think about the buyers who are going to jump in the market. Those are going to be the money people who are, yeah, maybe they're not cash strapped, but yeah, for sure, the people that are cash strapped, ready to go, ready to unleash whatever it is, they're going to be jumping in the market as well, right? So now we're talking about bidding wars. Now we're talking about higher prices. Now we're talking about who's going to put a better offer, who's going to waive inspections and contingencies and all that. You don't want to play that game, especially as a first-time buyer. I mean, the reason why I say you don't want to play that game is because you lose our leverage. Right now, the buyers have leverage, depending on, of course, what market. Right now, I'm really only seeing, I think it's the Northeast that really is still has sellers. Sellers still have leverage, but other than that, just about everywhere else, of course, market specific. So if you want to go ahead and drop your market here, I can identify for you real quickly whether you're in a buyer or seller's market. Chances are, my guess is 80% of the time you're going to be in the buyer's market as at this current moment. This is where you could go ahead and leverage. This is where you can make things work for you. This is where you can get your closing costs. I mean, quite honestly, right now working with someone and their closing costs is practically covered. Right, so all they have to do is come out with their down payment. Now, let's say if you have a VA loan, oh man, woo! If you have a VA loan, shout outs to all you. Salute, thank you guys for all your services that you guys are doing for the country. Amen to that one. But if you have a VA loan and you have someone covering your closing costs, I mean, what are you really bringing to the closing table? Think about that for a second. I'll let you harp on that. Well, I just got a text message. Just think about it. If you're unaware, then I'll tell you, you won't be bringing anything to the closing table. unless if the lender at last minute just says, hey, you have to bring this, right? But if you're having people close, like sellers close, take care of your closing costs, you're pretty much free to go there. But I just wanted to go on that rampage because I don't see enough buyers taking advantage of today's market. And it kind of concerns me. And the only reason why it really concerns me is because at least try. I think that's the first thing, right? If you're not even trying to get into the market and see what you can even possibly get, that's one thing. But if you're trying, you can't, okay, you did what you possibly could have. But I see a lot of people just still sitting on the sideline waiting. And I'm like, what are y'all really waiting for? Maybe it is you want a lower price. So make an offer with a lower price for crying out loud. Now, hey, that seller doesn't have to accept it. Try again. I mean, what's the good old saying, right? You don't make every shot. You don't make every shot that you shoot, or you don't shoot every. I don't know, whatever. Or the baseball one, right? Every time you're at bat, you're not gonna hit every ball. It's the same concept here, but take advantage. That's all I'm gonna really say. I'll kind of end my soap opera here because if y'all don't take advantage, I'm just forewarning you. This doesn't look good. This doesn't look good, and I'm saying it from the standpoint of when I'm helping people, or even when I'm speaking to other individuals, and just scenarios that I kind of get thrown at me, and we're trying to navigate those situations. So I'm just like, whoa, yeah, it's like that. But today we're going to talk about where affordability is really hurting people, right? So not only am I going to identify, or at least share with you, of course, as you guys just saw in that article, many people are looking outside of their major cities. So you're going to be able to see which cities, right, are people looking, or could be, or should be looking outside of. And then, of course, I'll also share with you as well what areas you should or you could look into as well. Then we'll talk about property taxes, because I think that's one thing that you'll see a lot of people just kind of mention, at least online, when it comes to property taxes, right? Property taxes going up on a lot of people, and that's just lack of preparation, personally speaking, or lack of knowledge. So I'm going to just give you guys game on that, just so you guys are fully aware of, okay, once you go into contract, this is what you can expect or should expect, depending on which route you go. We can talk about the new construction and the resale route, just so you're aware of that. And then we'll talk about what you guys all should be taking advantage of, especially if you're really trying to buy a home. Home buyers, home buyer programs, right, and down payment assistance. So a lot of states, if not every single state, has one. You just have to qualify for it. And then stick around, because I know the PMI is another conversation that kind of gets brought up. I'll touch it briefly towards the end, just because I don't want to lose sight of that. But PMI is something that I do want to mention as well. But let me know where you guys are all tapping in from. If you guys don't know, this is a stream that does happen on Wednesdays, generally every other Wednesday at 7 p.m. So Eastern specifically. So if you're dropping in later, you're watching us on a replay, tap in with me. Tap in with me live, so you can shoot your questions away, and we can maybe talk about a scenario that you heard, or maybe your best friend is going through a scenario. And this is my time to my opportunity to go ahead and pour into all you guys, so you guys know exactly what to do, or what to look out for, and how to prepare yourself. But this pretty picture I'm going to share with you first. It's going to give you information on what markets are the most expensive. Let me just get this thing to load up. Alrighty. Okay, so y'all should see that by now. So top 10 most expensive markets. So if you're in these markets, chances are, I highly encourage you, especially if you're not touching these median list prices, I highly encourage you to look outside of it. Now, if you're in Cali, I mean, I don't think there's anywhere in Cali you can really go to be safe. So for Cali, you're really going to want to utilize your down payments, right? you're going to want to understand what the down payment assistance, and I'll give you a resource, all right? So stick around. Make sure I'm not going to gatekeep this at all. Um, but if you're in that Cali market, you're going to want to really see what the down payment assistance programs that they have in California to be able to assist you. You know, what is the seller really willing and able to do to really help you go ahead and purchase a home, right? You're going to want to go ahead and look for those opportunities. And those opportunities, quite honestly, would be kind of easy to find. You just honestly don't tell too many people this, but just look at the days on market. If they're still on the market after 90 days or even 90 days in itself, then yeah, they're kind of desperate. That's a telltale sign. You could do it even sooner, but chances are the sooner you do it, the more they're going to be like kick rocks. But do what you want with that information. Here's where, so San Jose, if you're not looking at this right now for whatever reason, maybe you're doing something else, which you should be paying attention. But if San Jose, California, Anaheim, California, San Fran, California, Honolulu, Hawaii, San Diego, Salinas, not sure. San Luis, San Luis Obis. I don't even know how to pronounce that. I don't even know why I tried. Onark, Oxnard, Naples, Florida. This is the only one in Florida. Interesting. And then LA, Los Angeles. All right, and so LA being an 862 median, going all the way up to 2 million essentially. All right, so these are the most expensive ones. Whipty, right? Not so much a good information here. Sure. Now you know if you're looking in these markets where the heck to stay away from. Right? So if you're looking in those markets, go ahead and tread lightly. That's all I'm going to really say. All right, because you're paying a big bang for your buck. But I have a list here. I don't have a pretty picture to go ahead and share with you. Try to find it, but I don't think I had success with it. But the least affordable states as well, which kind of really plays on this list here that I kind of just shared with you. Montana was also on this list, right? So the big difference, actually, let me share my screen once more because I should clear this up here. So the big difference between what I'm about to share with you and what this is showing you is this one is sharing with you different states and cities, right? This is a little bit more specific. In fact, I think the last stream that I did, I even went into detail on this as well. So check that last stream out that I did if you really want to get a little bit more narrow. Is it the last stream or is it my last video? I have no idea. Just go on the channel. You'll find something that I talked about where prices are dropping. I don't remember if it's the last stream or last video, but one of the two. But this here is sharing with you different states and cities, whereas what I'm about to share with you is just different states. And so one of them being Montana, that was actually number 1 on the list. New York, number 2. Massachusetts, number 3. Hawaii, number 4, which we can see on this list already. California, number 5. Idaho at number 6. Oregon at number 7. Rhode Island at number 8. Washington, I want to say that's Washington State at number 9. And number 10, Nevada. As far as the most affordable goes, right? So this is, listen up, write these down. All right. Number 1 is Iowa. All right. And kind of get a trend. See where all these states are located. Because there's going to be a trend here that you'll see. You should see at least. Illinois was another one. In fact, Illinois, I hear they have high property taxes. So I think when I talk about property taxes, that will be extremely helpful. Kansas, we have Ohio at number 4. Indiana at number 5. Pennsylvania at number 6. Missouri at number 7. West Virginia at number 8. Minnesota at number 9. And number 10 is Michigan. So were you guys able to pick up the trend there? If not, actually let me know in the comments if you even care to comment right now. There's a trend there. I'll give you guys a second while I take my sip of water to see if anybody wants to take a nice guess of what that trend is based off of every affordable state that I mentioned just now. And if nothing comes in, then I'll just give away the trend. Well, it actually looked like everybody disappeared once I said make a comment. Oh man, it's okay. So the trend that was there is most of those states are in the middle, right? So we're talking Midwest, right? We're talking about the middle of the United States, right? A place where yes, people move to, but not as much as going to the West Coast, going to the Southeast, going to even Midwest, right? So you're not gonna really find affordability go on in those places at this current time, right? So this is why I say go outside of the metro area because then you'll find little pockets and opportunities to go ahead and strike there. Just my 2 cents. You don't have to listen to me. I would love for you all to go ahead and make sure you can lock in something because if you don't, and I'm not the doom and gloom guy, I want you guys all to win. But here, I'll go ahead and share this because this is going to share with you, and I could zoom in, right? So what's the median income, right? Still talking about affordability. And we're going to be here for quite some time when we're talking about affordability. But depending on what state you're looking at, here's ideally what you can, or at least what you should, make to be able to buy a home. Right, and I'm looking at North Carolina as 112. So North Carolina being 112, that's probably talking about the metro areas, right? So your Charlotte, your Raleigh, Greensboro, you don't need 112 to do that. In Fayetteville, you don't need 112. In Asheville, you probably need, in the mountains, you probably need a little bit more. Hope everybody in Asheville is doing better, by the way. So, right, so I'm more or less going to say, and this is, again, minimum income required. Take a screenshot of this, because this won't be up for that much longer, of what you need in whatever state that you're looking at. So kind of give you an idea, right? This is all that is really supposed to do. And the fact that it says 75,000 in California, I know California is a very large state, but this is skewed, right? But whatever. I digress. Sometimes you just, when you see some of the things, it just doesn't make sense. So if you actually have a choice, I highly encourage you, look outside of those metro areas, again, as I'm mentioning. But if you really want to know where prices are dropping, I can show you a picture. Again, I'd highly encourage you to go ahead and tap into the stream that I did, or whatever video it was, where you can go ahead and look specifically. I think I share some cities in there as well. Let's do full screen on this one. So as you guys can see, well, look at that. If you look right here, right, a lot of the I think it was not Midwest, it was the middle of the, what do they call that? Why am I blanking right now? I really don't know what they call the middle of this. I don't know. But yes, as you guys can see, anything that's blue is good for sellers, not buyers. That means the prices from a year ago have went up, essentially. And you can see it's really this entire area. Of course, you'll see little pockets like here, right? Of course, you'll have little pockets in different states, right, of blues. But we want to look at the major ones. So right now, the markets that are getting hit the hardest, Southeast, Midwest, and the West, right, entirely. I would say Florida really looks terrible, the worst out of every place here. Like Texas doesn't even look that bad. And I know Texas was, at least specifically Austin, was going through it. But really all the attention, I would say right now, is Florida. So if you're looking in that Florida market, there's your telltale sign. Either wait it out or look in a different market. Because I can even, at the same token, right, even if you see what these prices are doing and it's like, maybe they're not, your best friend or even favorable to what it is that you're trying to do or looking to do. I can even argue that I'm pretty sure that there are not fix and flips, right? Because sometimes as buying that as your first home may not be the smart idea, right? Especially if you don't have the resources or you don't have the capital, the equity to go ahead and not the equity, the capital to go ahead and what up to renovate the property in itself. But what you can do is get a 203K loan, depending on what route you would really want to go in. So you can go ahead and do that and kind of bake in the renovations from there. But if you don't want to go that route, I mean, just find a small, maybe it's not a up to date ready, something that you can put a little bit of time into over time. That's what I would challenge a lot of individuals now to do, right? Because these prices don't seem like they want to budge. And if they do budge, as you guys were able to see, I'll pull it up once more if you really want to see it again. But Florida is really the only one that's gotten hurt the most, and it's only gone down. At least here, I can share it with you. And this is the one that I can see, right? So if there's a market that is probably getting hit the worst, then I don't know about it because I'm not looking at that. But Punta Gorda is getting hit at least 12% year over year since last year. Right, so if there's any home in that market, then chances are they decrease their prices by 12%, which I'm seeing that here in the Raleigh market. So which means that's probably more than that, honestly speaking. But yeah, I'll challenge everybody, honestly, to go ahead and look at, a little, not fixer uppers entirely, because again, that may require a little bit of experience in, dealing with contractors. And yeah, I don't know if everybody wants to deal with that. But at least look at homes that not everybody's looking at, right? Or even look at homes that are on the market a little bit longer. Those are where the opportunities are going to come in at. I'm not going to guarantee you because every market is different. But if you look, one thing I've learned in real estate, there are gems everywhere. There are gems everywhere. So I'm actually going to share with you, right? If you were to go ahead and purchase a fixer-upper, at what price point are you actually looking at? This may shock you, actually. Because you might be like, oh, it's not that bad after all. Right, so I know right now our median, I don't know what North Carolina's median is. I'm going to look that up right now. The entire state. I'm not just talking about a specific area, because if we're just talking about Raleigh, I know our median is in the 400s. But if we're talking the entire state, that's a different conversation. But this is specifically talking about fixer-uppers, right? So this is the median. I should have showed you guys it. All right, so the typical cost of a fixer-upper in each state. So you can't tell me that there aren't cheap homes. It's just, do you want to put in all the work? I feel you if you don't, that stuff does take a lot of people. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. I could try to find it real quick. Just trying to find what the North Carolina's as a whole, as a state whole, what their median real estate price. Because this will give you a perspective as far as, okay, North Carolina, and this is just a quick Google search. It's saying 375 in North Carolina as a whole. 375 is I see here, or it's Zillow says 337. So Zillow saying 337, and I did a quick Google, and whatever that AI thing at the top just said 375. So there's that range. Compare that to 215, right? So you can see, yes, the homes are going to be a little bit cheaper. But you're going to have to put some sweat and equity into it, unfortunately. So let me know what questions that you guys do have in the comments, if any. Let me know if you guys are liking any of this, because if you don't, then I probably won't do this ever again. the stream, I'll still be here, but the more or less the conversation and what we're talking about when we're talking about places that you could really look at. Maybe I won't do that again. Drop a fire in the if you want, right? You don't want to let me know in the comments. Just drop a fire in the chat if this is at least hitting home, right? Not the home that you got yet, but it's what I mean, You're right. Okay, let me go ahead and clear out this because I don't need this stuff anymore. Because now we're gonna talk about property taxes. You guys should be excited to hear about this. I saw a friend of mine on Instagram made a post and was like, I had no idea that if property taxes, well, your equity in your home goes up, that property taxes go up as well. And I was like, oof, I wonder how many other people don't know that too. So, also, I know that a lot of people have been getting screwed over with property taxes, given that, from 2020 to now, home prices have practically doubled. So, it's a conversation that needs to be had at some point because, again, I don't think a lot of people even really budget for it. It's one of those things where it happens, and people are like, "What in the world? How did I not know this?" And so it's not your fault, right? This is literally information and knowledge that isn't being taught or isn't being shared on whatever level, right? So you got to all figure it out yourself. But if you don't want to figure it out yourself, you can always reach out to someone like me, or maybe you have somebody that you're connected to that's in the real estate industry, or maybe you know a real estate agent already, right? Reach out to them before, just taking a guess or assuming. As I like to tell a lot of people who assume, don't make up out of you and me. I won't say the word because I don't know how YouTube's going to treat it. But just think your rear end. But yeah, no, seriously, on a real note, like reach out to somebody in the real estate industry if you're questioning anything and you're just unsure and you just want clarity, right? If you don't want to or you don't know anybody, then just reach out to me and let me know and I'll connect you to, if I don't have the answer for you, I'll connect you to the person that may have the answer for you. It's just a matter of you doing it. And the best way to go ahead and do it, somewhere in the description, somewhere on my YouTube page, you'll find a way to get in contact with me. I don't make it difficult. It's not hidden. But let's go ahead and talk about property taxes. Something that never goes away. For real, right? It doesn't matter even if you pay off your entire mortgage, right? Your property tax is going to be there through the life of it, through the life of you owning that home. So here are some of the highest property taxes in the state, right? So highest property tax rate in at least since 2024. I told you Illinois was on this list. Illinois is on this list. So I don't know how in the heck they ended up on that other list. I think of the most affordables. And I was like, I don't know on that one, but I hear a lot of people complain about that. So shout outs to you guys. But Jersey, I already knew that. Connecticut, I already knew that. If you guys don't know, like, yeah, I have a lot of family ties there. So that's actually where my roots are. So hence why I left, right? You guys, this is like a prime example as far as why my rear end got the heck out of there. But New Hampshire is another one. Texas, I'm actually surprised to see Texas on this list, given that they don't have state income taxes, but I guess that's where they make up the difference. But let's talk about property taxes. All right, I'll leave this up here just so you guys can kind of look at this a little bit longer or screenshot this, or if you're just popping in, right? We're talking about property taxes. The one thing I want you to be aware of is, yes, property taxes are going to consistently go up, right? Because, well, what have home prices done over the course of time? They've only gone up. So think about that. Budget, put that into the budget as well when really talking or at least considering purchasing a home. Now, if property taxes, do they go down? Honestly, I'd be very shocked if any county is actually going to reduce it. I think it would be a lovely thing. But again, it's going to the property has to be assessed at that time. Property values are, declining. Because let's say, right, like every county does it differently. So remember that. Every county is going to assess their properties at different time frames. Here in North Carolina, they do it over an 8 year span, but every county in North Carolina does it a little differently. I know in Wake County, at least, they have it where it's every 4 years. But if you go to, I don't know what Harnan, I don't know what Lee, I don't know what, I should actually look into this stuff. I know Cumberland does their every 8 years. That's like your favorite area. Right, but every place is going to do it a little differently. Every state is going to do it differently. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Connecticut's every year. Right. Yeah, if I don't actually, I don't know. Uh, it might be every year. I'm not sure for Connecticut specifically. But yes, your property is going to get reassessed also often. So that's how they essentially determine how your property taxes are going to go up or maybe down. Who knows? So understand that. So yes, you could go ahead and purchase a home, be doing the good old, home ownership thing, buying your land of the free, the American dream. But again, you have a bill that you're gonna have to pay, regardless if your mortgage is paid off or not. And yeah, I think that's enough. I mean, let me know if you guys have questions on that. I guess I can mention, if you do have a mortgage on it, most lenders are going to require you to set up an escrow account, and that's what an escrow account is, right? So an escrow account is essentially the lender taking money. Well, an escrow account in general is just money that they hold on to pay bills or whatever bills that they have to pay for in regards to the property in itself. So if you do, most lenders are going to require you to set up an escrow account. So if that is the case, a portion of what you pay for your monthly bill, for your monthly mortgage, is going to go to the escrow account, so that at the end of the year or whenever the due date is for maybe even your insurance, that's when they'll go ahead and pay it out in itself. So sometimes you'll hear people say, yeah, they collected funds from my escrow account. It's because, yeah, the lender probably required them to do it. I think after a certain point, you can have the ability to be like, no, I don't want to have an escrow account, or I'll take care of it myself. But I know if you do like a lower down payment, it's probably going to be a requirement for so many years before they go ahead and say, yeah, you can go ahead and take care of it yourself. So yeah, that's how that works in terms of that. Anything else that I need to touch upon this? I'm just looking at my notes, make sure I'm not missing anything. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any questions, or if you guys have any crazy stories of people going. I mean, there's plenty of them online, but crazy stories of people getting their property taxes rising so much. And honestly, that only happens because most people who property taxes go up that much, they're buying in the new construction community. Chances are, right? It's not going to happen in the resale, because again, values and resales don't change that much. Whereas if you're buying a new construction home, and this is for to share this piece with anybody, take notes, timestamp this, whatever. But if you're buying a new construction home, you have to understand that they are not valuing the home as well on that land. They're just stating, they're only assessing the land value. So if you go on Zillow or anywhere and you look at the tax breakdown, you're only going to see whatever the taxes were, if it's even listed on Zillow, honestly. You're only going to see the taxes for the land in itself. But once you add a nice 300, 400, 500,000, 600,000 home, $600,000 home, then yeah, those property taxes are going to go, they're going to jump pretty high. And so a lot of individuals that at least the stories that I see or hear when I'm, doing my due diligence or scrolling through social media, a lot of them are buying new construction, and they're just not aware and not prepared for what may come, which is property taxes are going to rise on you the second that they assess that home dwelling on the land in itself. So it's the home and the land combined now. Poof, bing, bong, game over. Now, essentially, many people in that case are going to start selling. That's literally the next step, unfortunately. And honestly, they're only selling because they didn't know. I think if a lot of individuals knew, they either wouldn't target new construction, or they would go into a different price point. But again, this stuff it doesn't get taught, so you got to live and learn sometimes. If no questions come through, I'll go ahead and jump over to what I need to talk about next, which is the home down payment assistance programs in different states. Which, if you're looking in North Carolina, you got lucky today, because I know there's better than I know a lot of different others. And this is your opportunity. If you really want me to look at your state, I encourage you to go ahead and drop it in the comments. Because then I can go ahead and, just paint the scenario for you and let you know how many programs that you can qualify for. I'm just, my bad. I shouldn't be quiet. I'm just go ahead and entering. Actually, you guys can see me because, and this is what I'll do too. If you're here right now, here's the tool that I'm using, which you should be able to use. I don't think there's any credentials or anything that gets hidden. But this is the tool that I'm using to go ahead and find different down payment assistance programs in many different states, many different counties, many different cities. I mean, you name it. Right, so again, I mentioned we're in Wake County looking at homes, and I already know Wake County's, estimated, well, not even estimated, but median home price. So that's why I put that 400, but of course put whatever price that you're looking at, right? And immediately, right? So single family home, 400. Let's just say, it's you, your partner, and you have one child or a newborn. Even if you drop it to 2, right? It's just you and your significant other. It still maintains that 14. All right, so nothing really happens there. Yeah, let's keep that there. But I'll go ahead and do 3 because I know a lot of y'all having kids nowadays. No to Native American, but if you are Native American, man, there are so many. Watch this number change. Ooh. I was actually told by it was a client I was working with, and my client's daughter, I guess, knew someone who was Native American, and she was actually giving me information on how many programs and how helpful the Native American, like how they look out for one another, especially when it comes to homes. Like, so if you are Native American, you might want to look into exactly what's out there for you. I'm not going to do this right entirely, but I'll just let you know. I'll let you see it actually. If you're in the healthcare industry, you got one extra program that qualifies for you. If you're a firefighter, you got one extra program, right? Law enforcement, one extra program, right? So education, you got one extra program as well. So I'm going to say nobody has a disability, but of course you guys do what you have to do with this information. But this is more or less, I just want to share with you this resource so that you can go in this. Right? If you don't want to reach out to me for whatever reason, you can go in this and look to find, or at least see, how many programs can you even match for, depending on what kind of home you're looking for, how many people live in your household. And I'm sure if I add this, man, if I go high on this number, oh wow, it didn't even change it, not one bit. Interesting. So what does the amount of people matter? I'm sure if you drop it down to, yeah. So if it's just you, then you lose out on some. But if it's you and your significant other, so you kind of get a little bit of grace there. Also, I will say, if you've owned a home in the past, you're gonna miss out on a lot. So these programs are really geared towards and for first-time home buyers. And fun fact, if you've bought a home 3 years ago and you haven't done anything since, you're still considered a first-time home buyer. Have fun with that information. So you see, so no, but I did within the last 3 years, so you can see how that jumped up to 6. But watch this, right? So if you bought a home more than 3 years ago, watch this. Ooh, you're back to 14, right? So you're essentially treated as a first-time home buyer. When I heard that, I was like, man, what kind of rule is that? Like, if people really knew that every 3 years you're considered a first-time home buyer, then I mean, uh, I'm not gonna tell you what I know many people would do, but I know many people will go ahead and go after this. It's not free money either, so. But let's just say you don't own a home ever, because most people watching this probably have never owned a home. But you can view the programs, and so here's all the programs for you. Right. I encourage you to press learn more and dive deeper into each and every single one to see which one is it that you qualify. Of course, start with the biggest bang for your buck first. We got a nice 30,000 up here, a nice 50,000. Oh, look, never mind, out of funds. But yes, highly encouraged. Look at these intentionally, because a lot of them, what you'll see is they all have their own guidelines, eligibility requirements, and so you're probably not going to qualify for every single one of them. And most of it is going to be based off of income and where you're trying to purchase a home at, and of course the county that you're in. But don't ever say, do not ever say, I don't drop gems on this. Because if you do, I don't know what to do for you. I don't know. Because when I found this gem myself, I was like, man, this is how I find money for the people that I need it. I already know about the programs that already exist, right? North Carolina has 2 of them that I know of, that I been educated on, but these other ones, some of them are like, oh, this is new. These programs aren't discussed enough. They're hidden, I think, intentionally. In fact, let me do me. Let's do it, because I know. Let's do this, just because I know California was one of those markets where. Okay, I want to go to look in a different market now. Here we go, search again. So let's go ahead and do this once more, because I don't think we have many people in this room right now for whatever reason. Oh man, what's a county in LA? Hopefully if I just put Los Angeles, there we go. Let's go. I know the median was 800 when I looked at that, most expensive. So we're at 800. Let's go 2 people. I mean, I hope your median household isn't 70 in Cali. We got to go 100 here. 13. Right, so you got 13 programs. Of course, a lot of these programs are going to be based off of how much you bring in. If you have 80, oh, come on, I didn't want to do that. It's at 80, though. Well, yeah, we'll leave it at 80, just so you guys can see what programs are available, and maybe go ahead and look into each and every single one of these. I don't know too much about California. Let's see if they got a 50 grand in here too. Ooh, they got 100. And the funds are still there. So you can't tell me that money's not out there. It's just, what do you know? And who do you know? And what knowledge and resources do you have access to? And of course, do you qualify for it? Because at the end of the day, all of this stuff has eligibility requirements that you have to fulfill, or at least be in accordance with, in order to get these funds. And I'm sure every single one has stipulations even after you purchasing a home. So just be aware of that. Don't think just because they're giving money out that it's free money and you won't ever have to pay it back. At some point in time, if you go ahead and do something, then you got to expect that they're going to knock at your door and be like, hey, cough it up, because you didn't listen to the X, Y, and Z rules that they had. So just understand the fine print. This is one of those scenarios, because this, depending on how we're talking about a home, and a home is easily 6 figures, so it's not any light change that I think that you should be trying to play around with, personally speaking. But you guys want to do another one? Yeah, let's do Florida. Actually, yeah, let's do Florida because Florida is getting smoked right now. Where in Florida do we want to do? Let's go to Miami Beach. So Miami, let's just say Miami is not. I don't know what Miami is. Let's go with. I want to say 550. I think I could get away with 550. Let's keep it at 80. Let's go ahead and view their programs. Look at that. Out of funds, which means whoever utilized them, good for you. Hopefully they didn't just throw it to people who didn't really need it. Here's another one, right? There's a wait list. I love how they tell you what's really the updated, because most times you're not going to find out this information until you call them, and it sucks when you got to put all this time and effort into researching something and then to find out that it doesn't even exist anymore, or at least it's not existing for this year. But here are some of the programs here. So you can see, right? So Florida housing finance, you're going to see every state practically have something, right? May not be the amount that you're looking for or want, but every state has it. Here's some more programs this is more about the loans, though. The mortgages specifically. And they even tell you about tax credits, so reach out to your CPA, though, if you have one. If you ever need tax professional help, because I am not your guy when it comes to that. I'll tell you that right now. I barely can do my own. I should just stick to real estate. But let me know if you guys have any questions. I mean, it's pretty dead in here right now. If you're watching on the replay, let me know if you like this at all, if this is helpful, giving you information on where you can go ahead and find, where is it that you can go ahead and purchase. What else? The property tax situation, right? I don't think I missed anything on the property tax thing. I talked about escrows as well. I talked about shortages. No, I didn't talk about shortages. So if there is ever, as I'm thinking about it, if there is ever a shortage in your escrow account, the lender will come knocking at your door and saying you got to make up the difference, or they're gonna raise your mortgage, your monthly mortgage bill. So that's something to think about. This is why it's important to understand where you're purchasing in at, so that you know that if you are going to be short, you just prepare yourself through the remainder of the year. Right. This is all preparation, guys. This is all knowledge. And I did say I was going to talk about PMI, so thankfully I remember, because I almost forgot. So PMI, you really only have it on FHA loans. And yes, you do have it on conventional loans, but it's only on conventional loans up until the point where you've accrued at least 20% of equity in that home in itself. So if you have 20% equity, I don't think it just immediately drops off. And this is only conventional. I don't think it immediately drops off. It's one of those things where you got to go knock at their door. You got to go call them, like, yo, take that bad boy off of it. And this is for conventional only. If you have an FHA loan, and hear me loud and clear, because I know a lot of people who get this confused. FHA loans, they have mortgage insurance premium throughout the entire loan. It's also PMI, right? That's their, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's their name of PMI. Private mortgage insurance is exactly what I'm talking about. So it's for the life of the loan. The only way for you to get rid of PMI, at least for FHA, is to refinance and get out of an FHA loan. That might have broken a lot of your hearts. A lot of people probably thinking at this point in time, yeah, I'll accrue 20% equity and then I'll my PMI would drop off. No, it's not going to. And it's good when it drops off because it lowers your payment essentially, but not with FHA loans. So don't get caught thinking that, yes, after a certain amount of years or time, your PMI is going to drop off, because that's not the case. However, since y'all want to be shy, and not say much. Tap in with me on social media. If not this social media, of course, because you're already here, but Instagram as well. I do drop some things there that I don't necessarily put on YouTube just because it's kind of different, right? It's different platform. So if you want a little bit more day-to-day information, um, stay in touch with me a little bit more closely. Because again, I don't post. I'm only here weekly on YouTube. But if you want to get connected with me a little bit more, then yes, tap in with me. You can see down there where my social media, at least my Instagram handle is. It's just my name, honestly. It's not that. And if you're gonna say it right. Roney Polynice. All right, don't forget it. But yeah, no questions came in. For whatever reason, looks like I'm gonna call it quits a little bit earlier than I typically usually do. Won't be here next week for sure. I actually will be somewhere in the United States, not home. So maybe if I see you in the streets, then you'll know where I'm at. Maybe if I see you somewhere else in the airport, I don't know. But just know I got to travel somewhere. So definitely will not be doing a stream next week. So tap in with me on Instagram if you have any questions, if you need to get in touch with me directly, or you can go ahead and click the link in the description, fill out the form entirely, and I'll get in touch with you. All right, I give me grace, please. At least 48 hours. But I'm out of here, y'all. Y'all be safe. Y'all take care.